I'm gonna start this video off back in 2017. You can see the original date was written on here. It's hard to see, but 2/18/17, and then I rewrote it on there because of how old it was. But this is my first complete metamorphosis change from a superworm to a beetle, and I put it in a bag of alcohol and killed it. The very first one. But I thought maybe one day it'd be cool, and let me tell you what, it is cool. Alright, I'm working on a new enclosure for my superworm beetles. And what I did here was I took a bucket and cut the bottom of it and then drilled holes, I don't know, every 3/8, half an inch. It ain't gotta be perfect, all the way around it. And what it will do is you can put this inside of this bucket, and then it'll leave like 2 inches. So you can put your potatoes and your wheat bran in here for the actual larva and the superworms to grow. And then you can take your lid and cut a hole in the lid and then put a screen in this lid so that they have air to breathe. But get that out of the way. So what I'm doing here is I have really heavy thread with a needle on each end, kind of like sewing leather. And you just tie a knot on the end of it. Put it through the needle, tie a knot. And what I'm doing is I'm tracing one at a time, going through, oh geez, I caught the ceiling, through each one of the holes. Go through, push down, come back through, and you pull that really tight. And then with your next string, you're going to be on the opposite side of the plastic. So whenever you go through every hole, every space gets a thread. So there's no possible way that the insects can get out. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to accidentally, on purpose, skip one hole just to show you how to fix it. So I skipped that hole, and I'm going to come back through this one. And say you skipped that hole, oh geez, so my knot come undone. Some Boy Scout I am, need to relearn how to tie a knot. It's just a single overhand knot, nothing fancy. But say I went all the way down to the end here, and then I picked up this string to come back through, and I go, alright, that one's good. But then I come back to this one and go, oh crap, that one's already messed up. So all you have to do is go back through the same hole you just did. You double it up. But you have to make sure everything's nice and tight when you do that. So give it a nice big pull. And keep going backwards. And then now you're going to come back and then you're back on track again. Right back where you need to be. Oh geez. And you just keep fishing this through. And I lost my knot again. So we're going to drop that needle, and we're going to keep working this needle. Should probably tie more than an overhand knot. And you can see there's a big crack right here, which doesn't matter. Oh, I gotta push it down, because since you're using 2 pieces of thread, technically it's doubled over itself. That big crack means absolutely nothing. You ain't gotta worry about it. I'll grab my needle. Trying to do it on camera and look at it at the same time, and it's kind of interesting. So I'm just going to tie a single overhand knot just to speed this up a little bit, and then go back through. And now that it's held down, I can just run one hand on one side, one hand on the other side. And so I ain't got to keep pushing it down. Alright, so now I got to the end here. Just like leather, I'm going to poke it through here and pull. Actually, I'm going to do this. I'm going to do one more. Now I'm going to keep my finger inside. I don't know if you could see that through the screen. Keep my finger in there and then go through just like leather. And I'm going to wrap it around the needle 3 times. And then I'm going to take this needle and go through 3 times the opposite direction. 2, 3. I'm going to pull that tight. As tight as I can. Keep working that thread back. Keep pulling it tight. Keep pulling it tight. Now I'm going to do the same thing. I'm going to go back through that same hole and keep my finger inside that loop. Now I'm going to take this needle, go through here, and wrap it around 2 times. Pull that through. And I'm going to take the needle and go the opposite direction 2 times. I'm going to pull that tight. And that's your knot. That'll hold tight. So I got this Beetle mating box finished. I got the screen sewed into the lid, and then the bottom sewed in all the way around. But like I was saying, you put your wheat bran bedding in the bottom of this, and then potatoes. That's done. And then I got a couple more over there. There's my first one I ever did. But this is the mix box, and I keep track of everything. So the last time I mixed the small worms in was December 22nd. So that was 3 weeks ago. And as you can see in the bottom of this, it's nothing but frass. And all the potato skins are empty. So now it's time to go through and sift all the frass out and get all the superworms out of it. The potatoes I cut a couple days ago so that they're not wet. When you go to put them in the wheat bran, they end up soaking up all the moisture and then becoming nasty, so you let them sit for a couple days. Oh wow, that is super bright. Let's see here. But what I do is I take an empty box, just a big empty box, to put all the cardboard into. Yeah. And all these do is give surface area. See how much frass is in there already? That is super good fertilizer. I love it. And then paper towel tubes. I've been saving paper towel tubes for like 15 years. I've got a couple hundred of them. Oh look, there's some little ones there. Yeah, so those are like probably 7 months old. Wow, wasn't even on camera. From September to December, plus the 3 weeks. Because today is the 17th of January. That's how big they are. And we're just gonna keep sifting through these. And these egg crates are cheap, especially if you save everything. All I'm doing is trying to get the frass off. I'm not worried about all the superworms because they're going in another bin. They're not going to go anywhere. And then I put the paper towel tubes in the bottom because normally everything fills up with frass. So I keep these so that the egg crates don't fill up with frass. And all it is more surface area. So like if this was an empty box, there's not a lot of surface area for the worms to climb around in. Now then I'm going to pick out all the empty potato shells and try and get all these worms off of here. I don't even think they're worms. They are more insects. But yeah, it was definitely time to feed them. They's getting hungry. Nope, that one's not even touched. That one's a good potato, so I'm going to throw that one over there. And this is nothing but frass. So, their bedding only lasted 3 weeks. The good thing about all these extra buckets laying around here, I can literally grab one, bam. Oh, there's a bug in that one. Whee. Alright, that's the majority. Oh, there's a couple more bugs. That's why you do it. Put it in a box, because look, there's three more. There's one in here. Look at that little guy. And then this guy over here. Oh, look, there's another one. And you go in there. Alright. So now all these guys, they can't go nowhere. They're not gonna, this little guy, I doubt he'll even, nope. Alright, so in here, I got my mealworm, which you can, I bought that 40 pounds for under $20 at a feed store. These are all my fish tank buckets. This is for, whoa, the superworms. Oh, I guess it's still recording. Alright, anyway, I got my new stand set up. It's a lot stronger. But these are sifting buckets. Now, I don't remember the sizes of these two, but this one is a 1/20th. And this one, online says, when you do a bunch of research, it says that it catches the frass. You can see all the frass. The frass will not fall through this one. And then the next size up is one bigger that the frass sometimes falls through and sometimes not. But to be honest, I don't know how well you can see that on camera. There's 2 dead superworms right there. So I try not to use either one of these 2. Because if you wait long enough in between the sifting, you can literally just go straight to this if you do it properly. And then that bucket's full of frass. So I'll take this bucket that's full of frass, put it to the side, and start with a fresh one because I'm going to sift this a couple of times. Now I'm going to go get the other buckets. Now I'm just going to take this bucket of frass and worms and dump them in the sifter. Now you really don't want to be breathing this in because it's literally insect poop. Not good for you. So you can literally just let that sit there and they will sift themselves by them crawling around. Or if you're impatient, you come in here and shake it. Now the frass fell to the bottom, and then there's a couple pieces of potato you can throw in the trash if you want, but now you come over here and grab another bucket and you can dump all of these. I don't think that was on camera. Well, maybe it was. I don't know. Now you got your bucket full of just superworms. Now you're going to do that same thing again. Come over here, dump all the frass in here. Now it's a good thing to clean this bucket out with soap and water and let it dry, just in case there's any bacteria or anything in there you don't want the insects to keep having, because you're always cleaning this. Like literally it was 3 weeks ago. December 22nd, I cleaned it. There we go. Alright, now I'm going to put a lid on that. Now this can just sit anywhere for like forever because there's a lid on it. Now what I'm going to do is, I said I don't normally do this, but for the sake of there being other insects, little baby insects in here, I'm going to sift it one more time through the other sifters. And I'm not seeing anything. Oh, there's one. There's one moving right here. There's a couple of them. So I gotta go get my tweezers. Let's see them. Oh, there's another one. See that little baby one trying to sneak through? There is babies in this. There's a lot. There's one there. There's one there. Alright. Alright, so I'm going to sit here with tweezers off camera and pull as many out as I can. Alright, so that's the sifting. I'm going to let that tub dry, but while that tub's drying after I washed it, I wanted to introduce the actual beetle that is what mates to actually lay the eggs. So these insects go through a complete metamorphosis when they molt. So they molt every time they grow to relieve their exoskeleton. But before we get into here, I wanted to explain the difference between a male and a female of these beetles. So I have my stick figure drawings here. Now when you look at those insects, and I'll grab one out in a second, they're just really hard to see because I wear my bifocals. But anyway, they have a flat front across their nose here. Now, this drawing came out a little bit messed up, so I'm going to make this as flat as I can. So you have your insect. You have the head, you have the thorax, and the abdomen. Now, in a female, when you look at the top of the mandible, or the top of their jaw, it is straight across here. So we're going to call this one a female. Now, when you look at the male beetle, it's going to have a big loop right there. And it's hard to see, but that is the difference. Now, when I'm doing those breeding enclosures, I'm going to have one male to every 5 females. And that ratio has worked very, very well. I'm going to grab a couple beetles, and I'm going to see if I can find this on camera. This is going to be kind of interesting. Get that to focus. Yep, you see that rounded part right there, that is a male. I'm gonna put that one back in the box. We're gonna grab another one here. What's the odds of me getting a female here? Let's see here, will that focus? Focus. That is a female. Because a crossed is very hard. A crossed right there is flat. It doesn't have that big. Is there another female here? Yeah, those are two. Focus so I can see what the heck I'm looking at here. That's a male. Whoa, I hit the camera. See how it has that moon shape right there? That's a male. Flat is female on the right. That is a, I can't believe that picked it up on camera. But yeah. So that's how you know this, the difference in the beetles. So if you get your ratio right, it'll work out. I'm going to move this out of here now that I've showed the difference between a male and a female. And like I said, 1 to 5 works out. So in this enclosure, you can see that there's a screen in the bottom of this. So underneath of that, I just had an empty bucket. And what I do is I pick this up and transfer it right into the empty bucket, because frass can still fall through here if you just put it on the table. So having that extra bucket there helps a lot. Now, these are the breeding locations I want the insects to breed in, which is basically cardboard cut and taped together. So what this will do is this gives a good spot for them to lay the eggs. Now, none of these were with the beetles, and I did that on purpose because I wanted everything to reset the last time I did this. But there's only a little bit of substrate in the bottom of here. It's actually a little bit too much. Nothing's been eaten on that one. Let's see if because I just redid this 3 weeks ago. There's something eaten on that one. But you want to have as many pieces of potato as you possibly can in here for these little buggers to come in here and actually find it, because it's not only their food source, but it's also their water source. Oh, there's a couple. There's a couple right here. Get this on camera here. That little guy's been there for a while. I haven't found any little baby ones. I think there's too much substrate in here. I'm going to pull some of the substrate out later. But I will take 3 of these blocks, go like this, bam, 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 all 3 of these, and then I will put those 3 in with the beetles, and every week switch them so they can go, they breed, they lay their eggs on these 1 week, then I put them in here so the eggs can hatch, and then I'll take the empty ones and put them back in here so that they can breed. Now we're gonna switcheroo here. Bam. We're gonna knock off all the beetles. I want to leave them in there. And then that's empty. That can go over here. We'll knock off all the beetles here. Come on, get out of there. And don't get me wrong, these beetles have a smell to them that you probably don't want to smell. Come on, there we go. I'm not going to lie, I did a mess up. I bought a bunch of new superworms to try and change the genetics, because I've been running the same ones all year. Like, they've been, the beetles don't live very long. And you can see that there's a bunch of dead ones. I made the mistake of going out, buying new superworms, and then molting them, one before they were big enough, so they all died off. Two, I didn't put them in the separate container. I put them in here. And I didn't know it was going to happen, but I knew it did last week. All these dead ones. So something happened where either it was an infestation or something, but all of those brand new beetles died, which is why I made this new enclosure. So I need to get new beetles and start a new colony in here with probably 15 females and 3 or 4 males. My beetle, like, there's probably only 15 of them still alive in here, which really sucks because I had a giant colony. Alright, I'm gonna have to resect these beetles because I had 37 die-offs in 3 weeks. So this is the first breeding enclosure that I made. You can see it's a really big screen compared to the little screen that's normal. And what I did was I took and drilled holes around it so that air could flow through it, which I figured out if the enclosure is big enough. If it's this size, it's okay. I don't think you really need to do that. I don't know. This is a part of learning. This was the first one I did. So what I do is I use this as the pupation station, which is kind of funny. But what you do is you take your superworms when they're big enough. Like this one right here, that one's big enough. That one's ready to go. Just by looking at it, it's fat, it's healthy, it's ready to go. But what you can do is you can take as many beetles as you want. I always take 1.5 times what I want because sometimes they die in the pupation stage. Then you put them in an empty bucket by themselves, and then you feed them different food other than just potatoes. You can give them bananas and strawberries and anything just to fatten them up. Once you fatten them up for a couple weeks, what I did was I took Jello containers and drilled a bunch of holes in the top of them, or poked holes, whatever, and you individually quarantine them by themselves, no food, no water, nothing. It's a survival mechanism for them to start the metamorphosis stage. On top of that, I take these little tackle boxes and drilled holes in the lid, and then this will give me 18 little slots, which works a lot, but it is hard to put them in there because you have to like put them in there and put your hand on it to put the rest of them in. So I have 2 of these, and then what I do, as soon as they pupate, they turn into think of like a moth. It's going to have a hard cocoon, but these don't have a cocoon. And what I do is I take them out of here, they'll turn a yellow color, and then I put them in the bottom down here for them to change. And then they'll change probably, the whole process takes probably about 2 months. So after that 2 months, they turn yellow, you put them in here, and then a couple weeks goes by, and then they finally turn into one of these beetles. But they're going to be a brown color. They're going to be soft. So don't mess with them. So leave them in this container. They'll crawl around over it. Don't worry about it. They're not going to eat. They need to harden their... I'm going to call it an exoskeleton, but it's a bug. It needs to harden. Then once they actually turn dark brown or black is when you can take them out and move them into a different enclosure. Alright, this is all cleaned up. It's got the breeding blocks in there. I'm going to put it back in the configuration so the eggs drop if I don't get them in the breeding blocks. I put 2 new things of food in there for them, and out of 21 beetles that I have left, I believe there is 4 males. So, my colony is cutting to a third, and it's time to fix that. So these are all the little guys that I sat down and saved. So yeah, it's cool to do that. After you sift through all this down to a 1/20th, the frass won't fall through the 1/20th unless it's broken up. So all this to me is trash. You can leave it in your frass bucket, but for storage sakes, for me, I don't save it. So all these buckets get cleaned up. This camera can go back on this mount. Doink. And what I'm going to do, hold on, camera. Whee! I'm going to open this up. And I'm going to put probably 2.5 to 3 inches of wheat bran in this. And that's probably like 4 inches. Oh well. I'm not gonna lie, there are bugs and other insects and eggs of other insects in wheat bran. If you want, put it in a Pyrex container and bake it. Whoa, camera fell. Let's set this back up over here. You can literally just bake it in an oven and it'll kill everything. I don't know, bake it for 15-20 minutes. I don't know. Me, like I said, this only lasts 3 weeks for me with how many SupeRWormS I have. So honestly, 3 weeks and then bugs are gone anyway, so what does it matter? So like I said, I'm gonna go down through here. I'm gonna put the paper towels down, paper towel rolls down first. Let's go this way just a little bit. Okay. There's the light. Okay. Paper towel rolls down first. Just because no matter what, everything's going to get buried. And this helps keep more surface area. Now, if this was crickets or dubula roaches or something else, you would not want to put paper towel rolls in them unless you cut them, because they will go inside there and suffocate themselves. They'll pack themselves so far into that. Don't do that for anything else. So now I'm going to take all these potatoes and stuff these potatoes in here. And to be honest, these are regular brown potatoes, and I think that has a lot to do with what's going on here, is because I've always used golden potatoes, and for some reason these brown potatoes just aren't doing the job, and I don't know why. So I need to go buy some more golden potatoes. I've tried red potatoes and they're just, it's a lot of, they're smaller. So, front to back, back to front, try and just get as much surface area in this as you can without them getting stuck together. Time for the mass quantity. Truthfully, if I had a dehydrator, I would put all these guys right in well, you put them in a freezer first so they don't move around. Then you put them in a dehydrator. Then we put the lid on it, and we are good to go. Oh no, I lied. Now we're good to go.